So in this tutorial I'm going to make Mickey Mouse. So I have a nice little picture of him here, just so I can refer to it. I've got pre-coloured paste, so I've got some black. I've used licorice to colour those. I've got melon, chestnut, red extra and just some white. I will be using my rolling pin, Dresden tool, water brush, little mini palette knife and a lolly stick, and these two oval cutters. So all this is just sugar paste. I've used Renshaw's and I've added some Tolo powder to it to make it all a little bit firmer and easier to model with. So with the black, you'll see that these two are pretty much the same size. I would say this is just a fraction bigger, and that's going to be the body, that's going to be the head. So almost the same size for body and head. Mickey does have quite a big head. So that's the head one, I'll just leave that there. This one is just some extra black paste. I'm going to make the limbs out of it and the ears and any other little bits of black on there, like the eyes and the nose. So there's too much there, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. So starting with the body, I'm just going to get a cone shape started. Right, flatten down the top a bit, it doesn't need to be pointed, and flatten the body slightly. So what I'm looking for is this not to be too wide, that not to be too thin up there. So nice and long, because it will squash down a little bit. So I'm just going to place that on my little board. Then I'm going to take a bit of this black and make the legs. So just rolling it into a sausage. Now Mickey's got quite skinny legs and arms, so I don't want this to be too thick. I'm just going to test it. Let's see, it's nice and thin. And I'm guessing I need it to be about that long. I'll just make the other one to match. Okay, so I'm just going to pop them there for a minute. Not actually attaching them just yet, but just so you get the general idea of how long they should be and how thin they should be in relation to the body. Moving on to the red. So a bit of a fat sausage, and then roll that out. So quite thin, but not too thin that you can't handle it and lift it up without it ripping. I'm just going to cut a strip. So that'll give me a nice, neat edge. And then a little bit off the bottom. And that should be just enough. So using a bit of water towards the bottom of his body, place that on. So I'm just allowing it to lift a little at the front here. Make sure it reaches the bottom. And bring it all the way around to the back. If I just turn it on my hand now, Can be a bit lower at the back than the front. Nice neat cut, and then join it up. So you could blend this together a little bit better if you wanted to, but I'm just going to leave it like that. Turn it back and make sure the bottom is definitely covered so you can't see any of the black. Just encouraging it to go a little bit further up there and a bit further down there. And place that back on my board. Okay, so with the legs, I'm going to give him some shorts. So another sausage and roll that out. Picked up a bit of yellow from somewhere. So we want it to come about a third of the way down the leg, that's all, so there's plenty here. I'm going to trim it down a bit. Another nice neat edge. And then cut a strip. So all I'm going to do is wrap this around the two legs. A tiny bit of water on. That's it. Add a bit of water on. And now I'm just going to place them on the body, right at the front, but sort of more to the side. Just rearrange them a bit more. Now I want to blend these shorts into the red here. I'm just using a bit of water. And then taking the Dresden tool, literally just going to pull up, like scrape up a little bit of the paste. What you don't want to do here is make a great big wedge in the paste. You're literally just teasing it up to that section. This is really gentle what I'm doing here now. I'm not putting much pressure on. And then use your finger as well. Just smooth it out. Okay, so that's his shorts on. I'm going to add a bit of detail to the shorts just by putting some creases in. And then just lift this red here slightly if you can. That'll just look a little bit more natural. So at this point I want to be able to support the head, so I'm going to use the lolly stick. What I'm going to do first is wet the stick because it helps it to stay in place, and then just carefully feed it down the body. So if you just push too hard, it's just going to squash the body And I've just got some cutters. I've left about 1 inch. Okay, so for his arms, again, nice thin arms for Mickey. Now I know this is going to be long enough if it goes from his lap and all the way up, which it does. So just find the centre and just give it a diagonal cut. Just soften that cut a little bit. And then just place at the top. So a little bit of water, not too much. Now at this point, if the arms are too long, that's fine. We just cut them at the bottom. Okay, so just cut that bit there. Just so it just reaches the board. Just giving his arms a little bit of a bend. So you've got a bit of an elbow in there. Okay, so now for his feet. I'm going to take 2 balls of paste. Just going to check the size because he's got quite big feet, hasn't he? So I'm rolling like a peanut kind of shape. I'm just going to check for size. I'm going to go a little bit bigger. Just going to make sure the other one is the same size. So let's get this peanut shape again and just flatten it down a bit. So that's a basic shoe shape. I'm just going to give him a sole. So what I'm doing is just cutting carefully around each shoe. And then just shaping in a heel. Okay, so now I'm just going to attach that to the legs. I just bring the legs in a little bit. Now with this little bit of yellow that's left, I'm just going to roll a sausage, nice and thin, and then I'll just place that over this section where the feet meet the legs. So just tucking it under the leg a little bit. Okay, so just for a closer look. Now for Mickey's hands. First of all, I'm going to get like a teardrop shape. And he has got quite big hands, so I'm just going to see if they're going to be big enough. Now just taking the knife, I'm going to cut him a thumb. Now with these thumbs, they're going to be a little bit too long. So just taking a little bit off each one. And then just softening over that edge. And then he only has 3 fingers. So just 2 cuts. See all these cuts straight. Then again, soften and round up those fingers. You can just move them out of the way so you can get in there. So now that I've brought them back together, I'm just going to cup them slightly. What I'm going to do is just lie them underneath each arm. Just use a little bit of water to help attach it, like that. And then using a sausage of paste again, just to tidy up that join between the hand and the arm. I'm just going to snip the ends. Use your knife to allow it to go round. Okay, now just to finish off his body, just going to roll out a bit of white again. And cut out his 2 oval buttons, That should be about the right size. And that's Mickey's body finished. So now I'm going to do the head. So this is the black I've got. I'll give it a quick knead. And then for the shape, it's going to get it into a little bit of a oval shape. So I've already checked this for size. And then I'm just going to place it into this little form I've made. So all I've done is wrap up some sugar paste in cling film and then turned it into a little bit of a bowl shape. And then that will just hold the head nicely. Then using a heart-shaped cutter, I'm going to cut out a piece. And then what I'm going to do is just thin it a little bit. Then extend the top section a bit. I'm placing this straight onto his face, well, onto his head. And this is to form the mouth section. And that should be the right kind of size. We're getting like a kidney bean shape with that. I'm going to press it down a little bit and check it again. I'm just making the sides a little bit thinner. And I'm going to blend it in. So again, using the Dresden tool just to encourage the paste to blend up to that main section of the face. I'm just smoothing it out with my finger. So the centre, which is where his nose is going to be, just needs to be a bit bulkier. So I'm just pressing into that a little bit more. And then I'm going to open up his mouth. So from the side you can see it's a little bit more bulky there. A bit flatter around the bottom and the sides. So I'm just using the knife, cut straight in and then go straight up each side. Give him a nice open smile. I'm just using the Dresden tool to neaten that up a bit. So there's some nice dimples at the top of his mouth here. I'm just going to place those on. And the bottom of his mouth here, I'm going to get a Dresden tool in there, tidy it up a bit and pull out. So as I pull that out now, so I'm using my thumb just to stop the whole thing coming off. And then just soften around the bottom here. I'm going to use a tiny little bit of black to fill in that mouth. It's just a small amount. Make a little sausage, place that in, and then just push it into place. Like that. And then a tiny little bit of red to make his tongue. So if I just flatten that disc a little bit, then create a little crease on the top. You can see that shape there. Then just place it there, just on top of the black. Just use your Dresden tool to place it in better. Okay, so for his nose, take another small ball of black. I'm guessing that's going to be way too big. And roll it into an oval shape. Stick with a little bit of water. And just press down a little bit. Like that. Okay, so with a little bit of white, just going to cut his eyes. So I'm using the oval cutter again, the larger one out of the two. And he's got quite long eyes, so I'm just going to stretch them a little bit. See, just gently roll over them and stretch them out a bit. His eyes are quite close together as well. So we try and put them close together on here. So if you just lay them on gently first, then you can move them around if you need to. So you can use the small oval cutter for this, but I find they're still quite big. So I'm just going to roll a couple of little balls and then just roll them into ovals. Okay, and just place that towards the bottom of the white. Turn it that way so I can pick these up and put them straight on. And then just press down a little bit. And that's his face completed. He just needs some ears. So I'm going to pop him on the body first. Using a little bit of water on the top of that stick and on the top of his shoulders. Now with the ears, they do tend to come off easily, so you can use a cocktail stick to hold them on in place if you want to. Just flattening these into a bit more of a disc. And then just pressing down in the middle a little bit. So I'm just going to check these for size. I think we can go a tiny bit bigger. And then that should be okay. Okay, so I'm just going to snip off a little bit of a cocktail stick. A couple little pieces there. And then decide where the ears are going to go. So they're right up here. And then just make a little mark in the head so that they'll push in easily. And then feed the one part of the stick into the ear. Just using a bit of water there. And then just feeding those in. And there you go. Mickey is completed. Mickey does have a really thin tail that I just seem to forget most of the time. So to give him that really thin tail, I'm going to roll this sausage as thin as I can get it, which is quite tricky. and then we just place that at the back. So you wouldn't put that on until it was on the cake. Okay, so you can see it there. Now just leave that to set before you pop it on your cake.